What has happened to me after 30 days of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs? This is my post game report, and it's been a few days. It is November 5th, Saturday. I had a few busy days of work, so I couldn't get to these videos, but this is my recap of this last round of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And some cool things happened, and also I'm going to tell you about a little cheat I had and what happened to me. So, as always, we are questioning everything they've ever said. This is food for thought. And this is my anecdotal N of one experiment on myself to trying to optimize my health and through a diet, lifestyle, nutrition. I am studying to be a nutritionist, although most of the things I'm doing are very against the grain, you could say. So, here we go. What we tried to do this time with beef, butter, bacon, and eggs was I wanted to see if I could gain weight, because the last two rounds have decreased my weight. Probably at the first time it was about 10 pounds, the second time was about 10 pounds, and this time I started the 30 days at 177.7, and I finished at 176.3. So it was interesting. My workouts were fairly simple. I was attacking the gym maybe once every 4 days, focusing on a body part, one set to maximum intensity to absolute failure. And I did notice some body composition changes. I leaned out quite a bit. I think you'll see in some pictures I'll show you right here. My obliques are starting to come in, which is kind of cool. So what can we take away from this? I tried for the first 2 weeks to stuff as much food as I possibly could in the form of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs into me. So we could call it priming. So I was priming to do a feed and then fast, so to speak. So I would eat 1 or 2 meals a day for the first 2 weeks in excess, like stuffing myself. I noticed my weight was pretty much the same the whole way through. It didn't really matter if I ate 5 pounds of meat one day or I ate 2 pounds of meat one day. Depending on my energy, I would prioritize protein and fill up with fat. So, what can we take away from this? This is my opinion. This is my experience. So, there's a lot of people out there in the social media space that will, be completely opposite of what I say. And that's okay. I'm just trying to show you a different side of possibility and potential, because although I didn't get my blood work done and know exactly what's going on inside, I can kind of gauge from what's like the experiences on the outside what's happening. First of all, calories in, calories out kind of got thrown right out the window with my last 30 days. Not to mention, after the 30 days, I had about 3 days of grueling work where I was getting about 30,000 steps a day upstairs, lifting heavy things. We moved about 15,000 pounds, 16,000 pounds upstairs the whole way. And the funny thing is I don't get sore. There's no delayed onset muscle soreness, like after a heavy workout at the gym where you're stiff the next day. None of that, which is fascinating. So, these pose questions, and this is, kind of my thoughts on it. So, first and foremost, obviously, the soreness and the pain that you feel, I believe is diet related. I'm eating, probably you could argue, the right things. I'm not eating inflammatory foods, and I'm staying away from any kind of disruption in my gut. I'm absorbing my food, obviously, because if I was eating 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 pounds of meat and fat, you would think that I would be holding body fat. What they say out there is that you eat more and move less, you're going to gain weight. What happened? So for the first 2-3 weeks was pretty regimented. As far as my work schedule was pretty light, so that wouldn't affected me very much. The last week I did work a little bit more and exerted myself a little bit more, and I found myself eating a little bit more. Now I'm trying to eat intuitively. I'm trying to eat to satiety, and if I think I need more, I just eat more. So obviously some natural signals going on where I have my on and off switches pretty tuned in. Not once did I feel lethargic. My energy was fantastic. Right now I'm feeling great. And that's what we're trying to do every day. It's possible. You want to feel great every day. When you wake up, feel like a little kid, ready to go outside and play with his friends or her friends. That's kind of that should be the bar. And like I've been saying all along, is there's no test. There's no absolutes that can tell you, if you're not feeling great, there's probably a reason. And, it's probably to do with lifestyle, and or lack thereof nutrition. So there's things to be taken consideration here. So what happened was, after 30 days, my weight was pretty much the same, and my weight fluctuated between 181 to 173 was my lowest point, which was, funny enough, was the day that I exerted myself mostly at work. So was I using body fat? Probably. And the one thing that I notice when I'm eating this way is my energy is fantastically stable. There's no highs, there's no lows. I'm never hungry, and I'm never really, really full. Like, I try to stuff myself. I know I can't eat anymore, but it's not holding me down. So you'd think to what we've been told this whole time is that you eat a big meal and then you feel sort of, dopey and sleepy. Well, that's not true in my case. So that was kind of neat. Now, what do I take away from this beef, butter, bacon, and eggs? I believe my body is at a set point, a metabolic set point, where I am using fat for energy. I'm using the protein to either, to build new muscle, because I feel like I am gaining a little bit of size, and obviously it's going to take time. I'm not looking to become this bodybuilder big, but I am trying to optimize my physical body composition. So I think it's working. Now, the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs in my context is more of a reset and a fine tune. Somebody who is not a carnivore, somebody who is not fat adapted, probably will have different results, quite possibly more, fat loss as opposed to weight loss. But the idea is to hold and maintain and gain lean muscle, bone density, and my tissues, like I'll give my tissues the protein it needs to do the building blocks. The fat is there for my energy, and it's obvious that I'm using fat for energy because I eat butter like nobody else, and I eat animal fat. I'm not afraid to eat the fat off the steak. I eat whatever fat comes on the gristle, everything. I just hammer it down. And we got to talk about this because it's kind of uncomfortable for some situations, but my movements are perfect. The only time I get a little bit of a weird adjustment is sometimes with bone broth. It gets a little loose. Now, there is stuff out there to be said. I've tried to not drink fluid with my meal, and I find that my stool is a little bit more solid. It kind of can get a little bit loose when I have bone broth, which is funny. I don't know if it's the bone broth while I'm eating or the bone broth before I eat, because generally I've been trying to do break my fast for the day with bone broth 30 minutes to an hour before food. So maybe I'll do that experiment and see how that works with everything. But for the most part, the plumbing is good. I have no problems with like I was saying, with energy. And this success of this in my context is more of I think a reset and a focus on the good food. Now I'm going to open it up. I'm going to still remain hypercarnivore, which is, I believe we are supposed to be obligate hypercarnivores, which is generally a meaning 70% or more of your diet being from animal sourced or animal based, whatever you want to call it. So I will remain that, but I'll try and eat some good quality pasture raised chicken if I can find it. I don't really like the supermarket stuff, and that gives me another thing to say. When people assume a whole food approach, most of us carnivores want good quality meat as well. So pasture pork, pasture chicken, grass fed beef. We don't support the factory farming and the battery chickens and all that stuff because it's just not as nutrient dense, and there's some arguments to say that it might even be inflammatory with the PUFAs that they're eating, the pigs and the chickens. So I'm going to open it up a little bit more now. I'll be incorporating some dairy. I'm not afraid of good quality old world Greek yogurt, Bulgarian yogurt, whatever. If I could find raw dairy, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Once in a while, I'll drink some whole milk. I'll incorporate some good quality cheese. And we can open it up with some recipes. I'm going to start trying to develop some stuff to help you guys get a little bit more broad in your carnivore, not just steak and eggs, if you know what I mean, which I don't mind steak and eggs. I love it. But, it's nice to have a little bit of variety, and when it's available and it's good quality, focusing on the quality of the ingredients and the quality of what you're putting in your body, I believe it shows physically, mentally, and in your soul, right? So that's what we're going to be getting into, so I will be keeping you updated on that. We're going to go do a big Costco haul, carnivore style. This time it's not just beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. I'll show you how I do it and what I kind of agree with and what might be on the fence. And, this idea is to show you that this is possible. And, you might argue, there might be arguments out there. There might be doctors and people. I mean, I've seen videos where people say you cannot have physical activity to maximum levels without carbohydrates, which, sorry, but I do it all the time. Fasted, no food, and no carbs, dietary carbs. There is some residual carbs in eggs and cheese and stuff, but I'm proving it time and time again, and I'm lifting heavy, heavy things. No carbohydrates, none. So what does that show you? Like, this is from my experience, and, some people might be able to use carbohydrates as a tool. My suggestion is when you cut these things out, you start to see differences. And now that brings me to what's happened yesterday. I was about 3 or 4 days at work, heavy stuff, lots of physicality, lots of exertion, fine. Last night we were on a ferry home, and it was a pretty windy night, so we got delayed a couple hours on the ferry. And I thought, I haven't had a treat for a long time, which I'm not opposed to. Dessert, I know it's not good for you, but dessert once in a while. I'm not afraid of ice cream. Now, with me, sugar seems to be okay. As long as I'm not eating sugar all the time and I just have, a dessert, so to speak, in the form of ice cream, I don't tend to feel any different. I kind of get maybe a little sleepy after, but that's kind of all that happens. Now, if I have cake or some kind of a baked good, I've had carpal tunnel syndrome since my 20s, and it goes away when I don't have any flour, which is weird. So last night I had some ice cream. Waited, because we were on the ferry for a couple hours, waited an hour. They opened up the kitchen, and I thought, well, let's do an experiment. I just had sugar. Let's try and eat a burger. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this as an experiment to eat the bun. So I ordered a burger, had a double burger, I'm not worried about the carbohydrates on the energy side of things. Metabolically, I'm metabolically flexible. It's obvious. I don't dip in my energy. My energy is pretty stable. So let's see what happens. First, took a bite. It was so weird eating a burger. I had to take the top off the bun because I couldn't do it. I couldn't physically, mentally eat this thing. But I said for the experiment's sake, I'm going to eat the bottom of the bun. Within about an hour, I started feeling a little bit of soreness in my elbow and a little achy on my knees, which is weird. Now, you could argue I've been physically taxed for the last few days, but just to come out of nowhere, that's kind of fascinating. Today, I woke up this morning. Although it wasn't enough to make it severe enough for me to, like back in the day when my carpal tunnel syndrome acted up, I would wake up in the middle of the night, like just my hands were like numb and it would be painful. I didn't wake up, but this morning when I woke up, these four fingers, or the thumb and these fingers, numb, which is the signal of carpal tunnel syndrome. Your pinky stays not numb. So what was it? What is different? What's been different? I won bottom of the bun, and that's what happens. So now what happens is, I make a choice. Obviously, flour and grains don't do well with me. So is it worth it just to have that bit of, whatever you want to call it, a cheat or reward? I don't think that is, because in my kid's situation, it's more like a punishment. So now I become aware of this. Now I know I will try it again. I will try and eat some bread or some different things. And that's what I encourage all the people that I'm helping and I'm coaching. When you remove these problematic foods that you don't realize are affecting you physically, things can happen and things can change. Your body can adapt to it. Once the inflammation is down and you bring these foods back in, do not underestimate the power of your body telling you something is not right. And in order to know that, whether it's sugar addiction, carb addiction, grains, seeds, nuts, you have to remove them completely, all together, an elimination. And then what you do is you bring them back in systematically and calculated, and you can find out how your body responds to it. Now, some people will argue that's just you, and you haven't been eating them for so long that you're feeling this. Well, I disagree. I think it's more of we adapt and we get so used to a pain spectrum and a symptomatic spectrum that we just get used to it and we just think that it's us. I don't agree with that. I think food, nutrition, or lack thereof can directly reflect your state of being in the moment, in an hour, and let alone the next day, very, very quickly. So the only way to test this is to try it with yourself. Become your own experiment. Question everything. If you don't think these things are problematic, give them up. Cut out the seed oils, the vegetable oils. This would be my process for somebody new. First of all, you got to realize all the stuff that we're eating is a far cry different than it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. Try and eliminate all processed foods. Cut out added sugar, first and foremost. Realize that all carbohydrates are sugar. So maybe try a low carb gradually. Eat more meat. You need the protein. 35 grams in your first meal to induce muscle protein synthesis. That's a fact. You can check out Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, Dr. Donald Lehman. These people study protein. Dr. Lyon is a geriatrician. She's seen frailty and sarcopenia, and she's a muscle-centric medicine guru that is fantastic. I'll post a link to her channel below. But protein is important. So you want to get your protein. But if you cut out the sugar, cut out the carbs, cut out the seed oils, good things will happen. It takes a while for your body to start transitioning. I think we're a new person between 3 and 5 years. So over decades of constant body manipulation with this toxic poison, we're really good at surviving. Remember that. But it doesn't mean it's optimal. So what you can tolerate, what you can't deal with, and what is optimal is a very, very big spectrum. So my journey, I've done it. I cut out the carbs, felt better. Cut out the seed oils, felt better. Went to a mostly meat diet, and that's when my body started doing crazy changing things, where my body composition has just been working for me on a straight line for 3 years. Wild. Not once in my life. And I tried dieting. I was into weightlifting and bodybuilding at certain aspects of my life. Never did I have the physical composition that I do now at 47 years old, which is something to be said. It's possible. I didn't think I'd ever have that beach body abdominal stomach. It's happening. By next year, my plan is to be shredded, lean, running on cruise control at, whatever healthy body fat percentage I'm genetically predispositioned for. That's the goal. And then I can put on the switch. If I go too far one way, I'll see it. If I go too far the other way, I'll eat more fat. It's simple like that. I believe health is simple. We're just confusing it with all the wrong things. We never had blood tests. We never had these scientists dissecting every physical activity we ever did. We had to live, we had to survive, we had to breathe, we had to be outside, we had to stay warm, but we had to get cold. It's these natural things. And as much as you want to dog the Liver King, if you're one of those people, his 9 ancestral tenets are good. Fight, shield, eat, sleep, sunlight. There's a couple more, but breathe. And you know, they're good. So if you want to follow him, don't worry about what he's doing, but follow what his guidelines are. You know, not everybody has the time or the money to do what he does, but I'll tell you what, if you connect to the earth, if you breathe properly, if you get sunshine and you sleep well and you shield yourself from as many environmental toxins and radiation and all that stuff as possible, you will feel better. That is almost guaranteed. But you got to take it in stride and you got to take it in steps. You can't be perfect, but we can strive for it, right? So that's what I wanted to say today, and I want to thank all the new subscribers. You guys, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe to these videos. Thumbs up, and if you can share it or this can help anybody, I'm working on a way to connect with you better. If you have questions for me, post a comment below, get in touch with me, and you know, I can give you my side, my opinion. I've been doing this for quite a while now, and I'm feeling amazing. And my wish would be to give you an option or open up a door to better health. And you can start slow. You don't have to start. You don't have to go 0 to hero. You can just start to realize that there's things out there that are probably holding you back from it. It doesn't mean hours and hours at the gym. It doesn't mean being an elite athlete. It means making better choices, and cutting out might be better than adding in. So, you know, nutrient density, bioavailability, whole food at least whole food. It will change your life. And that's what I want to do. And we're going to keep doing this. And I'm going to keep showing you my lifestyle and my improvements and what's going on. We're going to start with some new challenges. I'm going to figure out what we're going to do next. But thank you. Please share and stay strong.